Welcome back, guys. First of all, I want to thank every single one of you. The first video on the 79 C10 had a way bigger response than I expected that it would have. We reached over 8,000 views, and I didn't think that was possible. I didn't think 200 people were going to watch it. And I primarily did the video because for Lynn, who was ever so graciously granting me this truck, basically, she wanted documentation of it being worked on for her husband's, recently passed husband, for it to be back on the road. So that was the whole intention behind that video, was to give that to her. But I got such an overwhelmingly positive response from everybody that I think I'm going to give a crack at this thing. So YouTube thing, I should say. So really my whole intention now is to show you guys a little bit about who I am and what I'm all about. I've got several vehicles, and I figured that if we're going to be making videos, you guys ought to know what the vehicles are and what the projects are of what's going to be going around here in my garage. Right now, this place is an absolute disaster mess, but that's about ready to change here in a couple months. Andrea and I are going to put a shed out in the backyard, and this is going to become cleaned up. When it becomes cleaned up, you guys are going to see a whole lot more things going on in this shop floor, garage floor, whatever you want to call it. You're going to see a whole lot more going on in here. And so I want to give you guys a scope into what we are working on, why we are working on it, and what some of the future plans are for some of these. And if the response is big enough, and if this thing becomes something that I can do on the side for fun and we're able to fund it, then who knows what we can actually build here and what you guys want to see. So not saying we're going to become world's biggest YouTube channel. That's not even my intention anyway. My intention is to have fun with this, enjoy it, and get some of my projects up and running and going to the level that I want them to be at, or to the level that I think would be fun for the audience to watch. So thank you guys so much for the overwhelming support that you gave us on the first C10 video. It was kind of a shot in the dark, and I think we hit a pretty decent home run for nobody knowing who I really am. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Tyler, and we are here in Texas, and I'm going to show you guys around my garage. I'm going to show you guys around my projects, and we're going to go and we're going to have a good time. So buckle in for the ride, and be ready for some fun experiences down the future, and be ready for some fun vehicles as well. Here we go. Now, I'm going to preface this a little bit by saying I'm going to do this in no particular order in the sense of the vehicles, not necessarily in an order of which I obtain them, not necessarily in the order of which I want to work on them. More or less, I'm going to just go with the flow and kind of show you each individual vehicle. There might be one that I'll save till the end, and that's going to be the big story. But for now, let's start here with the one that you guys already know, the 1979 C10 long bed pickup. So as you guys already know the story behind this, if you've watched the first video, like I said, this truck belonged to my dad's former boss named Lynn, her husband, whose name was Pierre. He unfortunately passed away back in November, and I was given the opportunity to become the care holder of this truck. And it is the newest addition into the Smith fleet, if you want to call it that, or the fleet of 7 vehicles that I own. What we've got here under the hood is a small block Chevrolet 350 with a turbo 350 transmission put behind it. 3-speed automatic, that is. Nothing special, nothing outrageous about this. It is a stock 350. This engine has been replaced. We got the warranty information paperwork that came with it. It came and it said that the engine had been replaced in 1998. With, like I said, this is a 79 pickup, so 20 years into its life, it got a new engine. This is a 4-bolt main 350, good wrench engine, which is a very common crate motor, basically. That everyone was all the broken engines were being replaced with crate motors at that time. So we still have the 3 fuel filters in place. I have yet to really do a ton of work on this thing since we got it home to Texas. There is some things that need done on it. I did fix the brakes again. We had a issue with the rear brakes being lost completely. Luckily, it happened after we got home, and I was taking this thing to work for 2 weeks or so after we got it back, and I lost all the rear brakes. I only had the fronts, and the wheel cylinders ended up leaking, which was something I thought was going to happen anyways. So, and it was actually a part that I took on the trip with us, but we ended up not doing them because they weren't leaking. But they ended up leaking, lost the rear brakes, got that fixed. And really, that's about the only thing that I've done so far to this thing. The engine does have a little bit of a rough stumble, if you want to call it that, especially at idle whenever you first start it up in the morning. It runs very, very rich. The altitude up in Colorado, it ran a lot better with this being in the mountains at the time. Once we brought it down in altitude a little bit, the tune is definitely off and something is not quite right, but it's not bad to where you cannot drive it around. So there may be another future video when it comes to carburetor tuning. This is specifically an Edelbrock, so we'll probably eventually get around to doing that whenever I get the time to do so. Kind of show you guys some tips and tricks when it comes to Edelbrock carb tuning. So that right now is the biggest thing. As far as the future of this truck, we're just going to drive it as it is. I have some big plans with it in the future if I'm able to fund it and do so. The ultimate dream goal with this is to be a race car hauler. I want to take one of my cars that I'll show you later to the drag strip here in town, and I want to bracket race. So this would be the hauler. Truck is going to be what takes my car to and from the track, and it's not going to do it in its current configuration, especially if I end up getting a trailer, stuff like that. This 350 and turbo 350 behind it's going to struggle. So one of these days, this engine is probably going to come out. The idea behind it, and simple idea, would be to put a big block Chevrolet 454 in it. That's the simplest and easiest solution. But you never know, we could get a little more wild with it. Maybe one day we could do a diesel swap. That's something I've always wanted to do, is put a diesel in something. So I know for a fact the transmission is going to be changed out. I do love the turbo 350s. I plan on doing some turbo 350 videos in the future because that is a transmission I'm well apt in, and transmission that I have rebuilt quite a few of. So I would love to maybe tear this transmission out and go through it with you guys one day. Maybe that's a possibility as well. But the idea behind it, big block 4L80E, I think that would be a great transformation for this truck and give it a little bit of a new life. For now, we're going to drive it, we're going to run it, we're going to fix it here and there, and we're going to enjoy it because it is a good running, smooth truck. By far the easiest steering of any vehicle I own, even better than my wife's Honda and better than my 2016 Malibu, which I'm not going to be talking about either one of those vehicles in this video with the exception of what I just mentioned, because they are not vehicles that I am going to be constantly doing things to. And really and truly, when you're talking automotive content, this is the kind of stuff you want to see. So this is a good configuration, great truck, and we're going to leave it as is for now. But in the future, you will see more of this thing, especially as we do upgrades and tricks and stuff to it. I would love to give you guys some maintenance stuff as we go along, and we'll see what happens with this truck in the future. This is my 1994 Chevrolet K2500. As you can tell, I'm a Chevy guy, mostly. You'll find that out later. Like I said, 1994 K2500 pickup. This is the other pickup in the fleet, if you want to call it that. I don't want to call it the other pickup because it was my first pickup. It's been a good truck. It's basically a light duty 2500. So it's got the heavier duty suspension. It's got 6-bolt axles in the rear, and it is 4-wheel drive. Unlike the C10, which is also technically a heavy-duty C10, so technically suspension-wise, they're very, very similar, just different era of truck. This one's got, like I said, 6-bolt axles and 4-wheel drive, so it's a little bit heavier duty than the 79 C10. However, I think the 79 C10 kind of outshines this truck in a lot of areas, believe it or not, but it's still a fantastic truck. This is a short bed single cab, so it is overall shorter, but it's got the turning radius of a football field. It does have a 350 under the hood, basically identical, not identical, but same engine family architecture. Gen 1 small block Chevy 350 under the hood, same idea as the 79 C10.
This does have a very early 4L60E transmission, so it's got electronic controlled, and it is four-wheel drive, or not four-wheel drive, sorry, it is overdrive. That's what I meant to say. So it's got 4 gears instead of 3. 4L60E is another transmission that I kind of specialize in, and any Chevy guys that know, you know, the 4L60E, especially the early ones, they had a lot of problems. This one has not given me problems, but it has been rebuilt before in the past. I got this truck when I still lived in Colorado. This was a family friend of mine who was selling it off. It did not run, and he basically said, hey, if you can come get this thing running for me, 1,500 bucks, it's yours. I'm like, all right, sweet. So I went there and needed a fuel pump. Typical common problem on these GMT 400s is the fuel pump, and this fuel tank has been dropped like 3 or 4 times to replace fuel pumps ever since I've had it. One of those was to upgrade it though, and I'll explain that here in just a second. But I got it running that day, put some fuel in it, drove it home, and it's been mine ever since. I've taken this truck all over the place. It's been to Denver, it's been to Oklahoma, it's been through South Texas, it's been a little bit of everywhere. It's been a great truck. So it has been rebuilt, the engine that is. I rebuilt the engine in this very garage in December of 2023, I believe. So it's been a little over 3 years. I've put about 30-ish thousand miles on it since then, roughly. So it hasn't had a ton of road time. I mean, it's got a decent amount of road time since I rebuilt it, but not a ton. It has sat quite a bit because I've got other vehicles to drive, as you guys obviously see. So, but basically what I did on that rebuild was I did a Dinkleball home rebuild. I didn't do any machine work other than getting the block cleaned, and I did get the crank cut 10 under on both the rods and the mains at a local machine shop here, but that was about it. Stock rods, stock pistons, stock bore. I cleaned it up with a Dinkleball honed, and other than that, it's mostly stock when it comes to the engine. It does have a different fuel system on it. It's got a Phytech EFI throttle body injection system on it. That was another big upgrade that I wanted to make on this thing. I still prefer the tunability and the easeability of a carburetor, but maybe one of these days I will fall into the EFI a little bit more and say that EFI is better. Maybe. Right now, I'm still a carburetor guy. However, this truck has been fun to play with when it comes to the EFI, and I do want to try one of these days. I want to try a Holley Sniper system because I have yet to really touch one of those. As far as Phytech goes, it's affordable, it's easy to adjust, and I'm able to do certain things with it that you can't do with a carburetor, so that is fun. Other than that, this has been a pretty good overall truck, and I haven't had a ton of issues with it. Like I said, I've driven it a little bit everywhere. The other place that's gone to is Georgetown, Colorado. It takes my wife up there whenever we go play outdoor hockey tournaments. Yes, we do such a thing. So it's pretty good. It needs some love though. It's got a couple issues that need taken care of. It's got I'd love to make the AC work. It's got an issue with the mechanical fan, probably a fan clutch more than likely. It needs brakes done on it. Like, it needs your general maintenance stuff. And I would love to figure out how to do the Phytech a little bit better, so that way maybe I can make videos about Phytech stuff too. You never know until you try. So we'll see what this truck holds for the future. For now, this truck is going to kind of sit a little bit. I'll still use it here and there when necessary, but I think it's going to be put on the back burner for a little bit. It is an OBS. I love the OBS body style. It's a classic truck. I grew up in a truck just like this, except it was a GMC. Maybe one day we'll do something cool with it, but right now it's going to stay with the stock 350 and the 4L60E that's in it, and we'll see what happens one day. The really cool thing with this truck is it does have the 14-bolt rear end, and I think that's probably the best piece of this truck in overall is that 14-bolt rear end. It's very stout, and other than that, it's just a good old plain work truck. Here is the one non-GM product that I'm going to show you guys. Actually, that's a lie. There is one more that's not a GM product, but this is the cooler one. This is a 1982 Datsun 280ZX, the L28 2.8 liter inline six, naturally aspirated, so non-turbo, 5-speed manual, and this thing is friggin' sweet. It's by far the car that gets the most looks, gets the most eyes on it, heads turning, whatever you want to call it. This car gets a lot of attention when I do drive it. I have driven it here lately, actually. I was driving it quite a bit a few weeks back, and it's just a fun car to drive. It's had plenty of problems. Fuel pump, starter, transmission needed to be rebuilt. I rebuilt it. And the biggest thing that I have noticed about this car is parts are hard to come by, especially when it comes to the engine. Another thing it needed a fuel pressure regulator. This thing is fuel injected, by the way. It needed a fuel pressure regulator, and what it was doing was the diaphragm, because it's still vacuum operated on this one, the diaphragm for the fuel pressure regulator was completely rotted out. So it was just spitting fuel back into the intake manifold. And this thing ran like crap whenever that was going on. It was spittering and sputtering and all kinds of things. You put on the gas and it just roll over. It was not good. It took me, this was probably right around COVID times, maybe a little bit after, so 2021-ish, when things slowly started to come back. It took me 9 months to find a pressure regulator for this engine that would work. So for that reason, I don't really want to keep what's in it. I want to keep a manual transmission in it. That's what makes this car. There's no way that an automatic goes in this car. So I'd love to have a manual in it and something else to go under the hood of this car. Give it a little bit more power, give it a little bit more oomph, if you will. It's fun to drive, but it doesn't quite have what I'm looking for. And I feel like there's going to be better engines out there with parts that are readily available, so that way this thing does stay on the street, because it is clean enough that I want to stay on the street, but it's got enough dents and dings in it that I don't mind doing something different to it. You don't see a ton of these out in the wild anymore that are in this good of shape, so I want to keep it on the road. My idea and the easiest thing to do would be LS swap it. That's what everyone would say. LS swap or small block Chevy 350 swap it. I've got 350s lying around for days. I have to build some of them, but the point being is I've got small block Chevy stuff lying around. I could put a small block in it. That's the easy answer, but it's not always the most fun answer either. I'd like to do something a little bit different with this. 350 would be nice and fun and easy, and maybe we do that for a short period of time to where we at least get something else under the hood of this car. I don't know, it's hard to say. I would really like to have something V8 based underneath this hood, because there's a ton of room under this engine bay. I have played around with the idea, and I'm not a Ford guy. However, I do have an appreciation for the Windsor and Cleveland line of Ford engines. I wouldn't mind a 302 small block under this hood. That would be a lot of fun. And this thing would rip, because that is a very light V8 in comparison to a lot of other ones laying out there, really. Smaller and lighter than the 350. The less weight you put in this car, the more power you put in it, the more it's going to rip. So we'll see what we can do with this car one day. I have taken it down the drag strip once. It is incredibly slow at 17 ET. I don't remember what the mile an hour was. It was like 80, 86, somewhere right around there at 17 seconds. 17.68, I believe, is what it was. So, and the idea is not to make it a racer, but it would be a lot of fun to have 350 to 400 horsepower under the hood. That's all that this car would need to be a riot to drive. It's already somewhat of a riot, but pedal to the floor, it ain't going very far, very fast. So, however, it is a slick looking car, and I do love this thing, and I will not get rid of it. So maybe you guys need to post down below what we should do with this thing in the future. 302 small block, 350 small block, who knows? Only time will tell. We have swapped from 4 wheels to 2 for the time being. This is my 2024 Kawasaki KLR 650. It is the only and first motorcycle that I've ever owned. And
this is not something you're going to see a ton of because it's going to stay the way it is. We might do some upgrades when it comes to saddlebags or some front end bars or something like that, but that's about it. This is meant for me to get experience on a bike, take it on some trails here and there, ride it on the highway, take some travels, and just enjoy it. That's the whole point of this motorcycle, is to enjoy it and not to make it a racer, not to make it a hot rod, not to make it anything other than what it already is. I did buy this thing brand new off the showroom floor. It is the newest vehicle that I own. In my opinion, motorcycles a little different than a car when it comes to new vehicles. And it is a lot of fun to drive. I do enjoy it. I don't get enough seat time on it as it is because I am driving all my other stuff. It is summertime right now in Texas, so it is hot. So it is a prime time to drive it. Kind of. It's almost too hot to be driving it, to be honest with you. And the wind just is like a blowtorch in your face when you're driving it. But right now I wear shorts to work and I wear protective gear. So I want to make sure that my legs are covered. I wear a padded jacket and I wear a helmet every single time that I'm on one. I like to be a responsible rider. So I'm not driving it a ton right now. But come fall time, I'm sure I'm going to get some seat time on this thing. It only has about 1,000 miles on it. So this thing is virtually brand new. And it is a fun thing to rip around and enjoy. I did take it on about a 300-mile road trip not all that long ago, and it's not a highway bike for certain. It's one of those bikes that it's a jack of all trades but a master of none. You go about 65, 70 on the highway, and this thing vibrates your brain out of your skull. You have to get off to, cool down and just readjust from driving this thing, even any amount of distance at that kind of speed. So you're not going very far in this thing for very long at that speed. You do a consistent cruising speed of about 55, 60, you're doing a lot better. But if you're going on an interstate, you got guys passing by you real fast, you got semis blowing past you, and that's not a safe situation. So this is definitely not a let's tour America sort of bike, but people have done it before. I've watched YouTube videos of people taking this exact bike and taking it on 1,300-mile road trips, and good for them. But that's not something I'm really interested in doing. I want to find some trails because this thing is meant for trail riding and getting you there basically on the highway. It's a dual sport. So I don't have any interest in riding a Harley or a pro touring bike or anything like that. I got this to enjoy it, get some experience on two wheels, and just add something else to my collection, if you want to call it that. So I do enjoy the motorcycle, but it's probably going to be the only one that I have, more than likely. There might be another one in the future, but for now, this is it, and I'm happy with my purchase. It is a good bike. I have saved my favorite, and in my opinion, the best, for last. And this actually isn't my last one. At the end of the video, I might throw some still images of my 1977 El Camino that is still sitting in the state of Colorado. It is complete rust bucket, so technically that is also part of the Smith fleet. However, I'm going to kind of gloss over that now. That'll get its own separate introduction and video. This is my 1982 Chevrolet El Camino. This is the first vehicle that I ever bought. So I drove this thing to high school, drove it to college, and drove it a long time after that. It has been sitting since 2023. It had a 267 small block Chevrolet V8 under the hood and a turbo 250 transmission, still a 3-speed, a little bit different than a turbo 350, hollow input and output shafts, lockup converter, a couple different things. We can go over that transmission later. However, I gutted this car out when it came to the drivetrain. So right now, this thing is a roller. It is sitting here and has sat in this spot since 2023. However, that is going to change here in the near future. I've got big plans, and I'll kind of show you guys what I'm up to in terms of scheming wise.
But this is by far my favorite vehicle that I own. It's rough, it's tough, but it is a great car. It has got a ton of miles on it from me specifically, and I just love this car. I have done a lot of work to this thing. It looks rough. The Mako paint job has completely faded away. The clear coat's gone on this. Its original factory color was navy blue. This is more of like a off-white, blue, grayish kind of color. I'm not even sure what its name is supposed to be, but the sun has just completely faded this thing over time. So the paint's rough and it's still fading in a lot of spots. But that doesn't mean we won't fix that one day. And this is really the one car that I wouldn't mind painting back to its factory color one day. I'm not a big fan of paint. I think paint causes stress and it causes people not to drive things, especially when it comes to street rods and stuff like that. Cars come out for a street rod show twice a year and then they sit in the garage and they leak oil and people wonder why. Well, you don't drive the thing. This is going to be driven, and it's going to be driven pretty hard. What I'm building for it now is meant for street strip application, and we are going to take this thing down the drag strip, and this is going to be my main drag strip vehicle for a time period. But it's not going to lay down 10-second ETs or anything like that, but it is going to be something that you can reliably drive on the street, but also lay a number down at the strip. 1982 Chevy El Camino. I can't say enough good things about it. This is the car that made me get into automotive. Without this car, I would not have any of the other vehicles that I've shown you today, and I would not have any interest in the automotive field or engine building or transmission building like I do today. This is the car that piqued my interest, that allowed me to move forward with it in a career, because I do work in the automotive industry as a career. So without this car, I would not be who I am today. So I owe this car a lot because of that. And it's just something that stuck with me. My wife is being very, very gracious when it comes to spending my time and money and effort on this thing. And she wants to see it on the road again, and I want to take her in it. And I can't say enough good things about this car. And it's something that I need to fulfill, and I want to bring you guys along for the journey of getting this thing back up and running and upgrading it as we go along too, because I think this is far from the last iteration this car is going to have with its new heartbeat, which I will go ahead and give you a quick overview of it right now. And here lies the new heart of the 82 El Camino. This is a 383 small block Chevy. Nothing out of the ordinary when it comes to a 383. Very, very standard stuff for 383. However, I do have a couple cool tricks up my sleeve when it comes to this, primarily when it came to the camshaft and the cylinder heads. I want to give you guys a really in-depth dive on this engine. It's not 100% complete yet, as you can see, but it's getting close. I want to give you guys all the specs and all the stuff for it, but I think that would be appropriate in another video that I can make, where I can really give you guys the in-depths of what I wanted to do with this engine and why, when it comes to camshaft specs, cylinder head combination, and even things like clearancing and balancing, and why I chose the combination that I chose for what I'm trying to do. So we're going to do a 383 small block Chevy. I do have a Turbo 400 that is going to go behind it inside of that car, which is sitting underneath the blanket over here that I completed rebuilding on about a year ago. And it does have a 10-bolt rear end in it, but it is the 7.5-inch carrier. So it's upgraded. It's got a Positrack in it now, and it's got billet 32 spline, I believe, quick performance axles. So I did upgrade it. I'm not going to try to neglect it, but I think one of these days that 10-bolt 7.5-inch carrier is going to have to come out, and a 9-inch is going to have to go in it, or an 8.8, or something that's a little bit better than that 7.5-inch carrier. For now, though, we're going to run it as is in the car with this under the hood and a Turbo 400 bolted directly behind it. If you guys want to know the specific specs on this thing, let me know. and we'll do a completely separate series about this engine alone. I'm really excited for it. It's going to be killer.
Well, that's it, guys. Thanks for coming with me on the journey of showing you my collection, if you want to call it that. And I hope that you guys will enjoy the further processes with these vehicles. I think they all have potential. They all have things about them that need fixed. They all have things about them that need to be upgraded. If you guys want to come along for the ride, please stick around and enjoy as we start pumping out videos here and there, and hopefully we see some progress and we see some busted bolts and some burnouts. I think there's going to be a lot of that to come. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.